What's up, fellas? It's your boy Crossover MMA, back with another video. This Saturday, we have UFC Fight Night in Abu Dhabi, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. This is my full breakdown of the card. So let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. First fight on the card, we have Sedriques Dumas versus Denis Tiuliulin. So coming into this, Tiuliulin is a striker on a 3-fight skid, all finishes, and he's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. The one win is over Jamie Pickett, who isn't in the UFC anymore. Dumas is actually on a 1-fight skid as well. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. And with that being said, I'm going to go with Dumas by decision, but a finish wouldn't surprise me at all in this fight. Moving right up, we have Herbert versus Rolando Bedoya. I hope I'm saying that right. Bedoya is coming down in weight for this fight. So with that, we always got to wonder how will the chin hold up. Also, it's kind of a misnomer that lower weight classes have a bit more skill than higher weight classes. So I guess we're going to see if that plays out as well. Bedoya is on a 2-fight skid. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Herbert is a striker on a 1-fight skid. He's 2-1 in his last 5 fights. Herbert has some good boxing and also has some sneaky kicks as well. Herbert's faced the better competition. He's fought Ilia Topuria, Ludwig Klein. So with that being said, I'm going with Herbert by decision. Moving up to the next fight, we have Viktoriia Dudakova versus Sam Hughes. Dudakova is undefeated, and she has a 2.5-inch reach advantage. Sam Hughes is on a 1-fight skid, and she's 2-3 in her last 5 fights. This could be a sneaky competitive fight, or it could be over very quick. It's one of those things you just don't really know. But with that said, I'm going with Dudakova by decision. Moving right along, we have Guram Kutateladze versus Jordan Vucenic. I don't know if I'm saying that right. If not, I apologize. Guram is on a 2-fight skid. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Vucenic is on a 4-fight winning streak and is also making his UFC debut. Guram Kutateladze is, I would say, he's a solid fighter. Just does everything reasonably well, but isn't elite in anything. But it's just solid all around everywhere. I think that's going to be kind of tough for somebody making their UFC debut, going up against somebody that pretty much is perfectly fine wherever the fight goes. So with that being said, I'm going with Guram by decision. Moving up to the next fight, we have Shamil Gaziev versus Dante Mays. So Shamil is on a 1-fight skid. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Dante Mays is on a 1-fight winning streak. He's 2-1 in his last 5 fights. Mays has a height and a reach advantage. But with that being said, Dante Mays, he typically fights a lot on the back foot for me. I'm not really a big fan of that. So with that said, I'm going with Shamil by KO, TKO. Moving up to the next fight, we have Mohammad Yahya versus Kaue Fernandes. Apologize if I butcher that name. Yahya's on a 1-fight skid. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Yahya lost his debut to Trevor Peek. Trevor Peeks, that guy's an animal. He always comes to fight, brings the energy. Fernandes is on a 1-fight skid. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Fernandes is a striker, has some really good kicks, likes to stay at range for the kicks to be effective. And with that being said, I'm going to go with Fernandes by decision. Moving right along, we have Alonzo Menifield versus Azamat Murzakanov. Menifield is a striker. He's on a 1-fight skid. He's 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. He's coming off a brutal KO loss to Carlos Olberg in the first round. I think it was like 12, 13 seconds into the fight. Murzakanov is an undefeated striker with 4 TKOs in his last 5 fights. So I'm going to ride the hot hand. I'm going Murzakanov by KO TKO. Moving right along, we have Joel Alvarez versus Elves Brenner. Now, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think this is going to be a really entertaining fight. Alvarez is on a 1-fight winning streak. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He's a very tall, long fighter, has really good BJJ, 3 subs in his last 5 fights. So off his back, he's very good. I remember in his fight against Arman Tsarukyan, Arman ended up getting a stoppage, but the entire time when he was on top of Alvarez, like you felt as if Alvarez was going to catch some at any point. He goes for a lot of submissions. So I think he's a very dangerous guy off of his back, and just a very dangerous fighter all the way around. So I'm very much looking forward to this. And then Elves Brenner, he's on a 1-fight skid. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. This is just going to be a really tough fight, guys. It should be one of the best fights on the card. I've been kind of back and forth on this, but right now I'm saying I'm leaning going with Alvarez, but that definitely could change. Moving up, we have Mackenzie Dern versus Loopy Godinez. So Mackenzie Dern's on a 2-fight skid. She's 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Loopy Godinez is on a 1-fight skid, and she's 4-1 in her last 5 fights. So this fight basically is wrestler versus BJJ fighter. So it's really going to come down to, can the wrestler nullify the BJJ, or can the BJJ specialist submit the wrestler? Because at some point, this fight there's going to be grappling. It's gonna get to the ground, and we're gonna see what happens. Both ladies, both women are dogs. Like Mackenzie Dern, she took a lot of damage in the Amanda Lemos fight. And even in the Jessica Andrade fight as well. And, she keeps coming. She's very, very deliberate trying to get the fight to the ground. You can tell that's where she wants the fight to be. Loopy Godinez, I mean, she's a little scrappy little fighter. She comes forward. Very good wrestling. Top pressure's pretty good, and even on the feet, like she comes forward and looks to land, but she wants to grapple as well and like take you to the ground and control you, ground and pound, be heavy on top. So this should be a competitive fight. I mean, Godinez is probably going to be willing to fight Mackenzie Dern where Mackenzie Dern wants to fight. So we're going to see what ends up happening. But with that said, I'm going to go with Loopy Godinez by decision. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if they're on the ground grappling and all of a sudden Mackenzie Dern latches up a submission. Like, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Moving up the card, we have Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. Tony Ferguson is on a 7-fight skid. And I'm pretty sure we all know that. Michael Chiesa is on a 3-fight skid, and he's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Tony pretty much looks like Father Time has taken away a lot of his tools and just taken away a lot of things that made him dangerous in the past. Chiesa is a big wrestler for the division, tall, wants to get the fight to the ground, wants to be on top. However, he is susceptible to Darce chokes. I know Kevin Holland got him in a Darce choke, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Vicente Luque caught him in a Darce choke as well. So that'll be something to pay attention to, because Tony Ferguson has a good Darce choke, so be on the lookout for that. And Chiesa doesn't want to be on the feet very long. Like, he pretty much just circles the octagon, will land a punch here and there, but he wants to get on top, and he wants to take you down, whomever you are. So with that said, I mean, I know Tony's 40 years old, but yeah, I'm going to go with Michael Chiesa in this fight by decision. Moving up, we have Marlon Chito Vera versus Davison Figueiredo. Chito's coming in on a one-fight skid. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Chito's coming off a very bad beating at UFC 299 against Sean O'Malley. It was just he just got beat up for 5 rounds and just kept coming forward. Took a lot of damage, and we're gonna see how he bounces back from that. Davison Figueiredo is on a 2-fight winning streak. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Figgy's been looking very good since he moved up to bantamweight. I know for this camp, I saw a photo of him over training with the Dagestani guys, training with Habib. So I know the wrestling will definitely be on point. And Figgy's been using more of his grappling at bantamweight. I know in the Rob Font fight, he used a good amount of his grappling, and he's been very effective with it. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see more of that, especially knowing that his camp was in Dagestan. So with that being said, I'm going to go with Davison Figueiredo by decision, and I just see him using his wrestling and his grappling in this fight. Moving up, we had a co-main event with Nurmagomedov versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. Shar Bullet is an undefeated striker with 3 KOs in his last 5 fights. Oleksiejczuk is a striker as well. He's on a 2-fight skid. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. I definitely see this fight playing out on the feet. Shar has these lightning fast kicks. His boxing isn't quite up to where his kicks are. He doesn't really use a jab much. I don't really know, but I mean, he just throws a lot of kicks, a lot of low kicks, head kicks, body kicks, axe kicks, like hook kicks. Like he's pretty much got all the kicks in the repertoire you could possibly want. So I'm going to be curious to see if Oleksiejczuk can keep this fight in boxing range, because I think that's where his recipe for success will be. Shara also, as we've seen in the limited amount of time of him in the UFC, he can be taken down and he can be held down for extended periods of time. Like his takedown defense just isn't up to par yet. And he doesn't really have the urgency to get back to his feet when he does get taken down. So I don't know if Oleksiejczuk is going to implement that game plan, but I mean, I think it would be smart to. But with that being said, Oleksiejczuk is just a big striker, got power in his hands, especially I think it's either overhand left hand or straight left hand, but definitely has some big power. And I even think he'll have a boxing advantage in this fight. So we're going to see if he can get inside a kicking range and be effective, because if he can't get inside kicking range, then Shar will just keep him on the edge of those kicks for the entire fight. But with that said, I am going Shar Nurmagomedov by KO TKO. Then we come to the main event of the evening, Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Corey Sandhagen is a striker on a 3-fight win streak. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Umar is an undefeated MMA fighter with 3 submissions in his last 5 fights. I would say both these guys are just complete. Like they can handle themselves wherever the fight goes. Corey is definitely a very good striker, very, very good movement. He's tall, long, also can grapple and uses his wrestling. I know in the Marlon Chito Vera fight, he used a lot of wrestling, a lot of grappling in that fight to get the win. So, and then when you look at Umar is complete. I know you see the last name and you think, oh, he's a wrestler, but Umar Nurmagomedov has some of the best kicks you will see in the UFC, and then has very good leg dexterity. Like his lead leg, He has a lot of kicks with his lead leg, which is not something you see from a lot of people in the UFC. But yeah, like I said, like both guys are very good everywhere. I think this is really a #1 contender fight. I know the O'Malley-Murad fight has been made, so the winner of this fight probably is going to get a title shot, especially if it's Sandhagen. I mean, he's definitely the guy. But if Umar gets the win, you know, when you beat the guy, you become the guy. So we're gonna see how it plays out. Sandhagen is taller and has a 1-inch reach advantage. I just seeing this fight being a chess match, really. I see both guys like trying to fill each other out. Umar is kind of like deceptively quick. Like he looks as if he's not super fast and athletic, but he is very quick, especially the kicks. They are very fast, very fast. And then up until this point, you know, Umar hasn't really been tested yet in the UFC. This is definitely a big jump up in competition for him. But we're going to see if he can handle himself. I mean, he definitely trains with some elite fighters. I mean, Khabib, Islam, Usman Nurmagomedov, Davison Figueiredo, Bilal Muhammad. So, I mean, he's definitely around like some high-level fighters on a regular basis. So, I think he's going to come in, he's going to be prepared. And I know he got caught in this last fight. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was making his UFC debut. But I actually think that's gonna help Umar some. I think getting caught in that fight was kind of like a wake-up call in a sense. Kind of like how Islam Makhachev's early KO loss in the UFC was a wake-up call for him. And I think it's gonna play the same kind of way for Umar. And I think, like, you know, Coach Khabib and all the Dagestani guys, like, having that are definitely going to be in Umar's ear, well, have been in Umar's ear this camp to get prepared for this fight. And this fight has kind of gotten named a few times, and then, like, this fight's definitely gotten moved around a good amount. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to this fight for a while. And I can see this fight definitely going either way. And like I said, I just really see this being a chess match. I don't see either guy getting a finish, but I just see like this fight going back and forth. I think there are going to be moments where Umar's doing well. I think there are going to be times when Sandhagen's doing well, and I think he's very astute. He's very astute mentally, Sandhagen. So he's definitely going to find some things that do work for him. It's just a matter of, you know, is it going to be tit for tat, or is somebody going to like get control, or will somebody like implement the wrestling and then like their wrestling just is superior than the other guy? But I really think these guys are evenly matched, even though Umar hasn't really fought any top contenders yet. But I think there's a reason for that. Because I know, you know, you'll hear Dana White say people don't want to fight him. And I know they're all fighters. So I don't entirely buy that, but I do to a degree. Because, I mean, you know, he's not very highly ranked, hasn't really fought anybody. So the higher ranked guys, you don't really want to fight this guy because, I mean, it's a lot of risk with very low reward. So shout out to Corey Sandhagen. In taking this fight, he deserves, you know, a lot of respect. But with that said, I'm going to go with Umar Nurmagomedov by decision. Let me know what you guys think. If you agree, disagree, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time.